Many people in the Yukon, throughout the Yukon, have roots here. So it is sort of a home for a lot of people in the Yukon. It's obviously very significant to First Nation, but also significant to the pioneer families that moved into the Yukon and remain here. Well, everything was here. There was a telegraph office, an RCMP station, two stores, three stores at one time. Taylor and Drury store is still standing. The Hudson's Bay came back in the 30s until the 50s again, and there was other free traders. There was hotels, of course, residences. So it was all things that the community needed to function. So in that respect, I consider it the most significant site in the Yukon. When the sternwheelers stopped running on the Yukon River, that was in the early 50s when the Mayo Road was built through Pelly Crossing. That pretty well spelled the end of viability of the community. Everybody left. It became an abandoned site, and it's pretty well, we have tried to keep the site looking as it would have appeared at that point. So the entire, from oldest building here is 1892, the youngest about 1938. But this community really tells the story of settlement in the Yukon.
We arrived in Fort Selkirk. Father was posted here in 1935, and we stayed in Fort Selkirk until 1949. So this was a very nice place to grow up. I was an only child in my family, and most of the time I was the only non-First Nations child in the community. And so I grew up entertaining myself most of the time, but with adults. So it was sort of a different life for a child, I guess. I used to go out on my trap line, started doing that when I was about 6 years old. It's just behind the town here. I had a dog and a toboggan, and I'd hitch him up, and away we would go. And, we'd be gone for 2 or 3 hours and checking all my snares, because it was snares I was using mostly. It was great having, there was always parties going on in Selkirk. Ice cream was the favorite, a big ice cream party. In order to have ice cream in the summer, a day like this, we had to, in the spring, before the ice went out, haul up big blocks of ice. And down in where the Hudson Bay is, the old warehouse that they had there was an old basement that was full of sawdust, and we'd bury all this ice in the sawdust. So all summer long, we'd have ice for ice cream. And the cranking kind of ice cream, you put the salt around it and cream and sugar, and just keep stirring, keep working the little batters, little paddles that went around. I always, after it was finished, I always got to lick the paddles, which was great. It was the best ice cream in the world. This house that we're sitting in front of was our home. It was also Father's office in the front, and Mother's office was in the back. Most of the medications were in my bedroom, and we had a kitchen in the back. And if we had any prisoners, which was very rare, I can only remember it on a couple of occasions, they would be in our dining room, and Mother and Dad would take turns being guard duty, and Mother would always cook the meals and everything. But I can only remember it happening a couple of times. We didn't have a jail or anything as such. I guess I lived in jail for 15 years of my life. It was a happy time. I have no bad memories at all of Fort Selkirk. And I don't know of anybody that that ever lived here. It was always a highlight of their lives. Like Hudson Bay people, we always kept in touch with them until they died. Same with the Anglican Church, and everybody that ever lived here. We always all kept in touch with each other until we've all dropped off as a result. But and everybody always had really happy memories of this place.